The phone rang once. My hand trembled twice. I pressed the receiver closer to my ear, eyes fixed on the closed kitchen door. Bryce was still upstairs. At least, I hoped he was. 911. What's your emergency? I hesitated. My voice came out. Low, almost a whisper. Hi. I'd like to order a large pizza. Extra pepperoni. Silence. I could picture the dispatcher frowning on the other end, maybe assuming this was some holiday prank. Ma'am, you've reached emergency services. I know, I said quickly. I just really need that pizza. Fast. 2449 Echo Ridge Lane. Side door is unlocked. Please don't knock. Another pause. Then her voice shifted, lowered, serious now. Ma'am, is someone threatening you? I didn't look away from the door. Double quotes, no. I just don't want him to know. He doesn't like visitors. Are you in danger now? My breath caught. The only sounds were the ticking clock and the oven humming. My toes were numb. I'm fine, I said, as steady as I could. Just hungry and alone. She paused again, then softly. Okay, Lenara. Help is on the way. Stay on the line. I froze. I hadn't told her my name. Maybe it was in their system. Didn't matter. Footsteps creaked above me. I dropped the phone into my lap, hiding it beneath my sweater. Just the pizza, I whispered. Don't forget the pepperoni. I didn't speak again. The line stayed quiet, but she was still there. I knew it. The footsteps stopped. Bryce moved back to his room. His door closed. I waited, heart racing, remembering. The day he came back. It was a Thursday. Bryce showed up on the porch, 2 bags slung over his shoulder. That old smile pasted on like it still worked on me. Hey, Mom, he said. Didn't think I'd be back, but life's been rough. He looked thin. Tired. I didn't ask questions. That's what you do when your child shows up broken. You let them in. He said he needed time to reset. Claimed he wasn't there to mooch. And for a while he tried. Took out the trash, fixed the sink, even asked about the garden like he used. I let myself believe. Maybe he'd changed. But then the medicine bottles were switched. He said he was helping. Lining up my pills for the week. Bills vanished. My phone disappeared. He locked the front door with a chain I couldn't reach. Said it was for safety. Then the thermostat started acting up. The house was freezing some nights, boiling others. I told him. He nodded. Nothing changed. He even moved. My coat and boots to the attic. No explanation. Just did it. One morning I heard him on the phone, didn't know I was listening. No, she's compliant, he said. Symptoms worsening. Physical decline. Should qualify by next quarter. Qualify. I sat on the edge of my bed, frozen. I didn't understand. Until I did, later. I found a schedule in his handwriting tucked in the drawer. Dosages. Mealtimes. Observations. That night, I dialed 911, and I asked for a pizza. It looked clinical, like a case file. That night, he brought home soup from a gas station and handed it to me without meeting my eyes. I held the warm plastic container in both hands, not hungry, just grateful to feel something with weight. Upstairs, the bathroom mirror had fogged over from shower. I wiped it clean and barely recognized. The woman staring back. Pale skin, sunken cheeks, hair thinned at thepot. I touched my reflection like I could smooth it into something familiar again. I didn't know if I was getting sicker, or if someone needed me to look that way. It started with the mail. I'd noticed the pile growing on the hallway table, tucked beneath. an outdated newspaper and a grocery flyer. When Bryce stepped out for what he called errands, I shuffled through the stack. Half the envelopes were addressed to me, but none had been opened. Several had red stamps. Important, time-sensitive action required. One had the medical logo in the corner. I tucked that one beneath my sweater and carried it to the bedroom like contraband. Inside was a notice about a claim I hadn't submitted, referencing treatment side never received. Durable medical equipment. In home assessments, my name, my ID number, but nothing I'd authorized. I waited until dinner, hoping to ask calmly, choosing my words the way I used to when he was 10 and whinge. Bryce, I said, I think something's wrong with the insurance. There's mail I haven't seen. He didn't let me finish, Jesus. Mum, I told you not to mess with that. He slammed the refrigerator shut enough to rattle the magnets. You're confused again. That's exactly why I've been managing things. I'm not confused. I said more softly than intended. I want to understand. He stepped closer, not threatening, but wearing in that way that erased space. You don't need to understand. You need to rest. Let me take care of it. That night, I waited until he was asleep to check the desk drawers in the office. In the bottom one, under a pile of old receipts, I found it. A notarized form declaring Bryce as my medical proxy, dated 2 weeks ago. My signature washer key. Slanted. I had no memory of signing it. In the same drawer was a folder labeled Continuing Care Plan. Pages of checklists, daily logs in Bryce's handwriting marking, changes in appetite, signs of disorientation, inconsistent speech. I stared at them, blinking hard. He documented me interdependency. Downstairs, the floor crate under his steps. I slid the folder back where it was, shut the drawer quietly, and sat at the edge of the bed, my hands cold and open in my lap. When he heard him coming up the stairs, I pulled the blanket over my knees and leaned back into the pillow, eyes closed, pretending to sleep. It was Christmas Eve when he handed me the phone. He brought home greasy takeout in a brown paper sack. 2 containers, one half full of noodles, the other something unrecognizable. He didn't speak much, just placed their bag on the table and tapped beside it. You want something different? Heast, his voice light like he was being generous. You can. Make one call. Pick somewhere cheap and fast. My hand shook as I reached for the phone. It was me old flip model, the one I used to keep in my purse. I hadn't seen it in over a month. The screen was cracked now, but it lit up when I opened it. He stood behind me, arms crossed. I nodded, trying to act casual. Okay, I said. I think I still remember the number. I did. It wasn't for a restaurant. Idiolid 911. 911. What is your emergency? I kept my voice steady. Hi, I'd like to order a pizza for delivery. Large. Extra pepperoni. A pause. Bryce narrowed high size slightly, but I smiled at the phone like I was placing a regular order. Ma single quotes AM. This is emergency services. Yes, I said, still smiling. And I'd really like it hot. Not cold like last time. Extra fast delivery. The dispatcher hesitated. Are you in danger? I inhaled slowly. Please don't forget the pizza. And please don't knock when you arrive. Bryce tilted his head. You said extra pepperoni. I nodded, and no sausage, just pepperoni. He seemed to relax, walked back into the kitchen. The sink started running behind me. On the line, the dispatcher spoke again, her voice quieter now. Is someone there with you? I kept my voice light. Yes, he's in the kitchen. We're sending help now. Stay on line. I set the phone down on the counter. careful not to hang up. My hands were damp. I pressed my hands into my lap. The water stopped running. Bryce came back with a dish. Towel and a soda. He set it in front of me without a word. I didn't touch it. Instead, I watched the blinking light on the phone steady, soft, like a tiny heartbeat in the dark. Outside, snow had begun to fall slow, soundless, drifting against the window like a whisper. I wrapped my fingers around the paper cup and waited for something I wasn't even sure would come. They came in fast, but not loud. The front door gave way with a sharp shove, and within seconds, 2 officers were inside. I heard them before I saw them, boots crossing the floor. Clipped orders, rooms being cleared. The laundry room door creaked open. I didn't lift my head. Flashlights swept across the floor and landed on me curled against the dryer, wrapped in a blanket that hadn't been clean in days. A woman's voice. Calm. Gentle. Ma'am? Can you hear me? I blinked. She crouched beside me and laid a hand on my shoulder. It was the first human touch I'd felt that wasn't clinical or cruel. I nodded. Barely. Another officer passed into the kitchen. The furnace is off, he called. Oven's open. Probably trying to keep warm. Empty cans in the sink. Bare fridge. The woman helped me up. My knees buckled. She steadied. Emmy. Bruising on her arms, the man said, reappearing. Underweight, maybe 15, 20 pounds below average. He held up something. A folder. 4 kits. Logs. Her symptoms tracked like reports. He glanced at me. He was documenting her decline. I couldn't speak. My throat was too dry and too full. As they led me outside, the blanket slipped from my shoulders. Snow was falling soft and slow now, covering everything like it meant to hide what had happened here. In the cruiser, I saw my reflection in the window-sunken eyes. A face I barely recognized, and held it there, steady. The house behind me finally closed without echo. Later, they found the folder in the top drawer of Bryce's dresser. A binder, plastic sleeves. Labeled, color-coded. Meticulous. Officer Temple showed it to me the next morning in the hospital. I was wrapped in a blanket, fingers curled around a cup of weak coffee. I didn't even sip. Each page was cold. Calculated. Providers. Diagnostic codes. Estimated reimbursements. My name on every form. Beside each week, refused outing, skipped meal, confused tone recorded. He wasn't helping me. He was presenting me as a patient, a project, a payment. He filed for in-home care stipends, she said. Claimed he was your full-time caregiver. There's even an application pending for long-term disability support. I stared at the pages. It wasn't just about the money. It was how easily it had been done. How quiet it all was. That afternoon, a neighbor came forward. Mrs. Delaney, from 2 doors down, grey cardigan clutched around her shoulders. She told officers she'd heard something crying, maybe yelling 2 nights ago. I thought it was the TV, she whispered. He always had something playing. Another man said he'd seen Bryce taking out bags of trash in the middle of the night. The bags clinked like glass. No one thought to check. Not really. Not until the red and blue lights painted the snow. I listened as they gave their accounts, nodding, apologizing, explaining. And when it was done, I asked for the binder. I placed it on my lap. Something I had to carry. The hospital room was too clean. Too quiet. I woke to the sound of machines and the ache in my bones, weeks of curling inward. Surviving. My wrists were bruised from my own weight pressing against hard floors. But I didn't feel pain. Just emptiness. A hollow space. The social worker knocked before entering. I remembered her barely. She had come 2 years ago, after the first complaint. Back then she said, "There's nothing to investigate. You seem fine now." She sat gently beside my bed, her clipboard untouched. "I'm listening this time," she said. So I told her. The pills, the door that never opened, the food I didn't get, the phone I wasn't allowed to have. She didn't interrupt. She didn't write. She just nodded and let the silence fill the rest. Officer Temple returned, phone in hand. "Do you mind?" she asked. I shook my head. She played the recording. My voice, shaking, asking for a pizza, begging them not to knock. When it ended, the room was still. She looked at me and said, "We believe you." And for the first time, I did too.